Greetings of the day. So today we are going to talk about the measurement of personality. Me myself, I'm Adira Das and I'm assistant professor from the Department of Psychology. So let's talk about the key aspects of personality and personality assessment. As we all know, personality refers to the stable and enduring patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving that makes an individual unique. This is one of the fascinating areas in psychology and Uh, have you ever thought about measuring your personality? So, personality measurements are usually done to understand individual differences, especially to predict the behavior and to inform clinical diagnosis of therapeutic planning, especially in a clinical setting. And the core concepts behind measurement is reliability, validity, and standardization, which are the terms that we usually use. Reliability is the consistency of results or consistency of data, while validity is the accuracy of data, and standardization is the uniformity of data. There are basically two kinds of personality tests: objective versus projective tests. Objective tests are structured tests that you have seen as questionnaires or which have standardized scoring, and they are based on self-reports which are efficient and reliable. Some of the examples of objective tests are NEO, FFI, and APQ, while projective tests are the ones which use ambiguous stimuli to bypass conscious defenses. They aim to reveal unconscious motives, conflicts, and desires. I think this is one of the most famous one which you are familiar with, and one of the examples are TAT and Rorschach in plot test. So when we are talking about the rating scales, let's discuss about like rating scales are one of the forms of questionnaires or tools that we use to rate an individual's behavior, thought, feeling, or into numericals or descriptive continuum, which may use Likert scales, which are the common forms of scales that strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly disagree, agree. While we might use semantic differential scales that measures the meaning of a concept by having the rater choose a point between two opposite adjectives, warm and cold. So one of the example of the inventory is Neo FFI, which is pretty popular. And this is a 60 item self-report inventory, which is based on big five model of personality. And it is widely researched and validated too. So open to experience, the main components or areas that we mention in new FI are big five factors. They are openness to experience, concitousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. We use a term acronym OCEAN to easily remember these terms. Openness to experience include curiosity or cautiousness. Concitousness include organization nature or carelessness. Extroversion include outgoing or ingoing, like outgoing or introversion. Agreeableness include compassionate or detached, and neuroticism include anxious or secure. While another example of inventory is EPQ, which is Eysenck Personality Questionnaire, which is based on Hans Eysenck's biological trait theory, which tries to measure three super traits or dimensions. They are psychoticism, extraversion, and neuroticism, EPQ. So, psychoticism is the tendency towards impulsivity, non-conformity, and tough-mindedness, whereas extraversion is a degree of sociability, assertiveness, and sensation seeking. While neuroticism focuses on the emotional instability of an individual, the tendency to get emotional so fast, anxiety, and moodiness. So the key feature of EPQ is that we have a life scale which can detect social desirability bias. Even in current world, people has a fear to admit realities about themselves, so they tend to fake themselves, faking good. Even though the answer they have in their mind is no, they will give yes just to conform with the social norms. uh, the yeah, these are some of the techniques that we already discussed. And MMPI Two is another self-report inventory that we usually use, which are lengthy tests primarily used for diagnosis, especially clinical diagnosis, which has validity scales to detect the faking and inconsistency answering. Next technique that we use, broad technique that we use are projective techniques. They are ambiguous stimuli that are presented towards the subject and the individual responses are analyzed. This technique is using a hypothesis called projective hypothesis. So the core idea is that when individuals are presented with ambiguous unstructured stimuli, they will project their unconscious needs and motives, conflicts and desires into it. And mechanism that we use is by asking what might this be, by giving a card or a picture and asking them what they actually understood from that picture. So the test bypasses the person's conscious defenses, revealing underlying personality structures and the deep insecurities as well. The main controversy against this is projective tests are highly debated because the critics identify they have low reliability and validity while high subjective scoring. So those the proficiency or the ability of the individual who is scoring the scores is highly connected to the reliability of the data or validity of the scores. One of the example of projective technique is Rorschach in block test. It is developed by Hermann Rorschach and the test uses 10 symmetrical in blocks. The scoring that we use include various kinds of analysis like Exner system. Like it is not just meant identifying what is being seen, but it is been trying to identify how you have seen that picture in which dimensions. And here we are looking at location, various determinants, and content, and they are being assessed afterwards, and which is a long process and which needs more uh, for more proficiency or skill to assess them properly. So another form of projective tests are thematic perception tests. The individuals tell a story about a series of ambiguous pictures that is being given to them that helps to reveal the underlying motives and needs. And another method that we use in to measure the personality traits of an individual are observation methods, where we systematically observe and record behavior in natural or controlled settings, which is not actually been mentioned as a method, but it can be used as a technique in discussing or identifying an individual's basic traits or surface traits of an individual. So the strengths are to provide insights into the real world behavior and to overcome self-report bias. As we mentioned in the questionnaires, that people tend to fake good or bad depending on their mental set, which can affect the authenticity of their responses. So observation method can be utilized along with other methods to identify whether they have given the right statements or not. Usually we rarely use such techniques, and this can be used only for very limited number of people if we are focusing more on a specific individual or a specific case. So today we discussed about various techniques that is been used to measure personality, which include objective tests and projective tests, and we go through some examples of the same. And this is the glance of comparison between various methods, and you can go through it. And that's it for the day. Thank you so much. Have a good day.